Uh, I wish I was a cosplayer. Hold on a minute. Wait. Can I beat Elden Ring as a cosplayer? The rules for this run are as follows. I need to defeat all of the Remembrance bosses, but before fighting a Remembrance boss, I have to find the closest looking armor to what the boss is wearing and find equivalent spells, incantations, and or weapons. So basically what I need to do is make my character look and perform as a cheap knockoff version of the actual boss. Other than these 2 points, I'm free to do whatever I want. With a quick intro out of the way,
Let's get to it.
I made my best attempt at replicating how an average cosplayer looks like, got humbled by the grafted Scion, took my anger out on Rick Soldier of God, got my trusty steed from Melina, and began the grind for the essential items that I needed: Bell Bearing 1, Physic Flask, Dectus Medallion, and Radagon's Sword Seal. I then tried to get a few runes from the Knights Cavalry and, well, I guess it's fixed now, or at least the method I used before is. Moving on, I got the second bell bearing and started rune farming with a method that I haven't used since the release of the game. I then started farming for Godric's soldier armor before fighting Godric himself. Godric is wearing what is equivalent to a bunch of rags, so finding an armor set that matches what he is wearing was kind of difficult. The armor does have these greenish, orangey sections on it, so I decided that Godric's soldier armor would be the best fit. If you happen to know about a chest piece that could be used as a stand-in for Godric's armor, do tell me in the comments down below. By the way, I'm not going to show the farming process for all of the armors that I'm going to be using, so if you happen to have questions about a particular piece of equipment, do ask me in the comments down below. I then defeated a Gil to get a dragon heart that I could use to acquire the fire breath incantation to simulate Godric drafting and using a dragon head in the second phase, made quick work of Margit, and finally faced off against my first Remembrance boss. The fight with Godric wasn't really all that eventful, besides the awesome start to the second phase. Moving on from that, I got the Great Sword for future use, completed various questline to get the medal to Mogwin Palace, where I would spend a substantial amount of time. Maybe even too much, in all honesty. As my second Remembrance boss, I decided to fight Renala, not knowing what I was getting myself into. I farmed up the armor and the staff from the Burger King enemies in Naraya Lucaria, and went into Renala's boss fight. Yeah, that's not happening. Due to her astounding magic resistance, this fight would be literally impossible. And without the ability to respec, the run would be a headache, so I decided to compromise. Rock Sling deals physical damage, which would allow me to complete the boss fight with relative ease, and acquire the ability to respec, which I did right away in preparation for the fight against Radahn. The only other set of armor that somewhat resembles the one that Radahn wears is the Tree Sentinel armor, found in the Alriza Hero's Grave, and acquiring it is so simple it hurts. All you have to do is use Margit Shackle in this spot, and all of the chariots will go haywire, and the armor will magically appear in your inventory. Yeah, looks good.
You're just a cheap knockoff. Oh no. I'm the upgrade.
When thinking about doing this run, I knew from the start that I would use Torrent throughout the fight to mirror Radahn and Leonard. What I didn't know I would do is use the Great Sword with the Cragblade Ash of War. I used the regular sword up until Radahn smashes his swords into the ground and imbues them with gravity. That's when I would get off Torrent to use my Ash of War to simulate what Radahn just did, and would proceed according to plan. The fight itself was pretty fun actually, which was surprising to me as I thought that it would be a slog to get through. It also helped a lot that I was able to respec mostly into strength, making me fat roll, but that was a non-issue since I was on Torrent for the entire fight. time to prepare for Morgoth, who has a whole slew of weapons that he uses. As a stand-in for his cursed sword, I chose the meteoric ore blade, which most resembles the one that he uses. Got the giant crusher. I then squashed the draconic tree sentinel, got Lion's Claw Ash of War, quickly dealt with the golden shade Godfrey, and then decided to get myself the tree spear, which is also one of Morgoth's tools, but I couldn't wield it and I didn't feel like grinding for the stat requirements, so I ditched it. Yeah, looks decent enough. I went into Morgoth's boss fight at level 85, thinking to myself that I would get my ass beaten, but nope. The fight was pretty much a walk in the park, exactly because of my character level, and thanks in part due to charged attacks and Lion's Claw, which allowed me to get some easy stance breaks, and finish the fight after 10 to 15 minutes of attempts. In the mountaintops, I got the third stone bell bearing, the giant's prayer book, respect into a faith build, deciding to fight the fire giant with incantations only, and on the first attempt I ran out of FP flasks, which was embarrassing, so I decided to try a different approach. Meet Fire Giant Jr. Or just Fire Human? Fire regular sized person? Anyway. The Tree Sentinel's shield is kind of OP in this fight, as when you're spamming charge attacks with it, you can more or less get the giant into a loop of stance breaks, which is just glorious. For phase 2 I just hurled fireballs at the big guy until he died, which took a while, as he is resistant to fire. Obviously. I then made my way over to Volcano Manor, defeated the Godskin Noble, acquired the bonfire next to Rykard's arena for future use, and started progressing around his questline. There is quite a decent amount of useful stuff that I could get by completing this quest. Then I decided to collect the Halictree medallion. I shouldn't have used Burn of Flame, but I still got the stuff. I made my way over to the hidden path to get the Silver Scarab, which would help me a ton when grinding for items. In the snowfields, I defeated both the Knight's Cavalry to get the armor, and once the second guy was down, the horse was just there? This has never happened to me. Is this how you get a horse in real life? Am I the owner? What is Thorin gonna say about this? Oh, I spooked it. Great. During my time over at Mikula's Halictree, I got the Pearl Drake Talisman and progressed for the entirety of this Legacy dungeon to get the Dragon Crest Shield Talisman and get the closest site of grace to Malenia. I then collected the Curse Mark of Death in the Divine Tower of Liurnia and got the Urchi to burn. Ladies and gents, meet the Godskin Duo Jr. Even though the Godskins are not Remembrance bosses, I just couldn't resist it. Like, come on.
your ass on, boy. Get your goddamn.
For Placiduous Axe, I chose to use the Draconic Tree Sentinel armor that drops from, well, the Draconic Tree Sentinel, specifically the one that guards Malikev's arena, and since I was still running a Fave build, I decided to check some names off the list while I could. Using Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike was kind of like a no-brainer for this fight. Moving on to Fortis Axe, and the drip I chose to wear for this boss fight is the Drake Knight armor, which wasn't the best fit for this boss fight. I should have used Malikev's set for it because of its black and gold color, but larval tears are kinda hard to come by, so yeah. I also used Vive's Dragon Bolt to simulate the lightning that's coursing over Fortis Axe's skin, and the Bloodhound Claws and the Flaming Strike Ash of War, and my reason behind that is, well, Fortis Axe uses claws in the fight, and breathes fire, so yeah. PS champions were of no concern with these tools, which allowed me to move on to the boss. My past self didn't know that Fortis Axe has like 80% of lightning resistance, so imagine the look on my face when the Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike didn't kill this guy in one hit. I haven't fought Fortis Axe in like 5 months, so I completely forgot how this fight works, but I still managed to beat the boss in the first attempt. Just don't look at the amount of Crimson Flasks I have at the end of the fight, okay? Do I need to explain myself? I think the jokes write themselves. The Royal Remains set was the armor I chose to fight Estelle with. The helmet was a no-brainer, but I'm pretty torn on the chest piece. It's okay, but again, there is no armor in the game that would replicate how Estelle's body looks, or not to my knowledge at least. The choice of spells was also quite on the nose with Collapsing Stars and Rocksling, which all look like something straight out of Estelle's toolkit. Oh, and by the way, I should have also used Estelle's wing, which I forgot about. My bad. Fashion sauce for Rykard was tough, but I went with this serpent motif with the helmet, shield, the serpent hunter, and the briar armor with like these scale-like features on the waist. Other than that, the fight went as usual. Yeah, this looks like Malekith alright. For the first stage of the fight, I basically mirrored every tool that Beast Clergyman has, down to the last minute detail, with the incantations, the Syncadea dagger, and obviously the looks. All of these aspects combined made for one of my favorite looks for this run. For phase 2, I needed to quickly change the chest piece and switch to the Magma Worm Sword, which is the only weapon that came to mind when trying to think of a substitute for Malekith's Black Blade, and then I proceeded to the fight itself. It's Godfrey time, baby. For phase 1 I went with this look, which slightly changed with the removal of the chest piece and the addition of the Kestis Fist for phase 2. With that out of the way, take a look at how Horror Jr. rips Gideon a new one. Godfrey Jr. vs Godfrey Sr. was a fight that I thoroughly enjoyed, even if I'm not the biggest fan of the moveset of the Duelist Great Axe. Malenia was a tough boss to figure out an equivalent look for, since her armor is probably the most unique looking in the entire game. Either way, I went with the twinned gauntlets and greaves to simulate Malenia's prosthesis, the Bloodhound chest piece, and the Clean Rot Knight helmet, which looks somewhat like Malenia from a distance, if you squint really hard. Either way, the weapon of choice just had to be the Naga Kiba with the double slash Ash of War as a stand-in for Malenia's waterfowl dance. Do I need to explain anything? Moog vs Moog Jr. was probably the best fight during this run for a variety of reasons. The looks from my tarnished, the choice of weapons and incantations, and obviously the fight itself was really fun, so yeah. With Radagon and the Elden Beast, I went with the Sanguine Noble's Waistcloth and the Hammer. It says on the wiki that the hammer is a hammer in Elden Ring. Truly words to live by. Besides the choice of fashion and weapons, I also added some of the Golden Order incantations, which didn't really play that big of a part in the fight, since both Radagon and Elden Beast have insane holy damage resistances, but it did look cool. After Radagon was absolutely humiliated by a copycat with a simple sledgehammer, I went into the Elden Beast boss fight without changing anything because, well, I honestly had no idea how to match anything that the Elden Beast has. While finishing with the editing of this video a day before it releases, I realized that I should have used the Sword of Milos, dropped from killing the Dung Eater, and the Elden Stars. Not that Elden Stars would actually do anything to the boss besides tickling it, but still, should have used those two things. But anyway, my tarnished turned cosplayer finally beat the Elden Beast and became the Elden Lord. Half of the fun doing this challenge run was just figuring out what works and what doesn't. What armor matches what the boss is wearing, and what weapons and spells are the best equivalents to what the boss has. Did I follow through with the rules for all of the bosses? No. Renala and Rykard in particular come to mind, simply because of the fact that defeating them with their movesets would be painful and borderline impossible. Elden Beast also comes to mind as I should have used the Dung Eater's sword at the very least to defeat it. I've made some mistakes in terms of getting the wrong equipment for the job or simply forgetting about the existence of some weapons, but anyway, I hope you had fun watching this video. Thank you everybody for watching, have a good one, peace.